If there's one place that defines American motorsport, it's here. The sandy beaches a few miles away held races for decades. It's where NASCAR was born. They need a place to race, a super speedway so fast and so huge that the cars could run flat out all the way around. So they built it. 1 million square yards of earth was moved to create the banking. The void left behind became Lake Lloyd. And 2.5 miles of asphalt created more than just one of the most beautiful racetracks in the world. It built the foundation of NASCAR. In the decades that followed, Daytona became hallowed ground. The trophies here mean more than any other. Win the 500, put your name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Win the 24 hours and strap a Rolex on your wrist. The banks are not always kind. They're not always fair. And while Daytona wins bring a statistical highlight to any career, it's the losses that make it seem pointless. But for every untimely ending, there is a triumphant healing. For every emotional victory, a mind-numbing realization.
Tom O'Gorman fighting for every inch that he can possibly get. Won the last TCR race of last year, Road Atlantic, starting things off in exactly the right style. It is victory for Tom O'Gorman and the LA Auto team.
I won at Daytona. I earned a trophy at the World Center of Racing. The checkered flag waved for me. For me, it was not the end of a career. While it may be a highlight, it is only the beginning.
It's just the best ever.
The 3-Wide Racing League begins a brand new racing series, and it all begins next week, but we have to set the stage and qualify for the Daytona 250. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle. I are joined by Connor Horn tonight for Sim TV, and you're watching the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series with the 1987 stock cars at a brand new version of Daytona International Speedway. So a bit of a mismatch in eras here, but a smooth surface and a not so smooth race car out there. And tonight we race for qualifying positions, and as we qualify now, we'll set the front two starting positions. And Connor, how this works is the qualifying happening on the racetrack right now will grid the field, or at least the grid the front row, and the race will order everyone else out. This is not going to be a long race tonight, Connor. We raced at Talladega last night. Tanner Sharp took victory there. As we head to Daytona, a little bit of a smaller racetrack, what did we learn last night that might apply to tonight?
I think something that's got to be required is absolute patience. I was there with Finian last night for that race at Talladega. Early wreck, early blowover. A lot of people got taken out. Another problem is pit road with these. We might have green flag stops at Daytona here tonight. I'm not quite sure, but a couple of people who were in contention yesterday, Cameron Rich and the 77, I believe it was Eisenman. I don't think he's here today, but they had big mistakes on pit road, a bunch of over-aggressive blocks, over-aggressive moves we saw in the pack in the first like half of the race. There was really not much patience yesterday, and I think a lot of these drivers need to have some today.
Yeah, so we've got a fairly sizable field of it. Just under 30 cars here lined up for the start of this one tonight. as we've got Race Clark jump to the top of the board. Cameron Rich goes second quick. You mentioned the 77 of Eisen. We don't see him in the field here tonight. Nick Boyd goes third quick, just missing the front row in the 74. It looks like he will not quite be set up for the pole for next week's Daytona 250, but we've got a long season ahead here on a Monday night for the fall of 2020, and Three Wide's been with us for a couple of years now. This is a drastic departure from the high downforce cup car, truck, and even the national car, which is what we ran last season here, Connor. So this is a pretty sizable difference in car handling, but Matt Grunberg, he's good at everything, and he just went top of the board in his number 54, and with a minute left in qualifying, that might be good enough to hang on to that front row.
He's the only one in the 44-second bracket, so I think he's, without a doubt, likely going to be on the front row. He was really good last season, the couple of races that I watched, and I expect nothing less from him this year. And it is a big jump from the Cups, the trucks. Basically, any NASCAR National Series car now is just so much different from what it was 20, 30 years ago. These cars, you have to absolutely drive every second around this track. You can't just go one-handed down the backstretch. You have to drive this thing and hope you don't door someone.
And I think the ultimate driving skill is really going to show out here tonight. Again, you see Dustin Dewar come across the start-finish line. Vic Bloom will not get a qualifying lap in. Neither will Jonathan Cogswell or Nick Miller. With 18 seconds left in qualifying, your front row for the Daytona 250 will be Matt Grunberg and Race Clark in the 22, who just got his first win in a long time in three-wide action late in the National Series season. So he's coming off of a high towards the end of that last season that we ran. But with qualifying complete, it's time to go down to the racetrack and do our qualifying race for next week's Daytona 250. And Connor, obviously the bumpy racetrack, the 07 version of Daytona, not the one we're using tonight. We're using the newer version. How difficult would this be with the old version, and how much better will it be with the smoother surface that we have here tonight?
Yeah, if we were doing the old surface, it would be very difficult. Talladega's surface on iRacing, it's not too worn out, but at the same time, it's still a little bit bumpy, and people were slipping and sliding. It was hard to go too wide last night, and I can't even imagine going too wide on the bumpy surface of the 2007 version of Daytona. It gets so bumpy near the outside on that surface, it would have been really difficult to even pass with how big of a run you have into the turns, and you really wouldn't be able to keep it under you without lifting, and we'd see a lot of dooring in the turns. I think it was smart for them to go to the new version, because you're going to see a lot more movement, a lot more action here, especially early in this race.
I think that's definitely going to be the case. Let's head down to the starting grid and roll through our starting lineup here. On the front row this evening, it's going to be the number 54 of Matt Grunberg and the 22 of Race Clark there, Connor, who's in row 2.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good race, I believe. You got Cameron Rich and Nick Boyd just barely missing the front row. They're on the second row. Hopefully they stay there for the main event. Corey Lindsay, Tanner Sharp. Tanner Sharp riding a bit of a hot streak. Had a good win at Dega last night, but he's got a lot more people to contend with tonight. William Kruska, Mike Stevens, and then Trevor Butler and James Miller rounding out the top 10.
And back at 11th, Jordan McEvoy in the 21. Levi Zielinski looking for a rebound from the last couple seasons. He'll start 12th in the 97 car. Jeff Fisher, Richard Hines back in the 87. He had some really good runs in the national car. We'll see if he can continue that momentum in a car that's a lot different. Michael Goodman, Donovan Smith, and we'll let the rest of these roll along the bottom of the screen as we prepare for our 40-lap event here tonight. And Daytona is one of these interesting places here, Connor. It's got a lot of history for a lot of different reasons. We saw in the intro video, the road course variant is also about as well endowed in history as the oval is. And obviously we heard from IMSA driver Tom O'Gorman, who has won at this racetrack, a good friend of mine. I'll see him tomorrow on my way to Colorado for Grid Life. But I'll have a look here at our track and race information. Daytona International Speedway, constructed in 1959, one of the oldest speedways in NASCAR. Constructed just a couple miles west of the Daytona Beach where we used to run. And Daytona Beach, Florida has a population of just about 70,000 people. So, pretty well populated city. Daytona, of course, 2.5-mile oval is what we're utilizing here tonight. Got 4 turns plus the tri-oval that is always so talked about with that start-finish line right in the middle of it. And Daytona is the 3rd largest single-lit outdoor sports facility. The lights cost $240 an hour to run, which I thought was a lot lower than I would have expected for the lighting here. And I have to adjust that announcer graphic there. It's Connor Horn with me here tonight. We roll onto the back straight.
Hey, Finian. I was with him last night, though. I'm sure he's doing a good job with Erskine, I believe.
Yeah, they're actually out at Richmond tonight. So we've got double duty here for about 3 more weeks between Erskine and 3 Wide. Erskine on the tail end of their championship chase in the Cold Hard Art Cup Series, about to get started in 1 week's time. But for now, we roll through turns 3 and 4 Take a look at the weather information. 96 degrees track temp, so it should be a nice warm evening here in Daytona Beach. 40 laps, about 30 minutes worth of racing, and we're qualifying tonight. Up at the front, it's the 54 and the 22. They've got their positions locked in for next week. Everybody else racing for their starting spot. Field rolls through the tri-oval. Pace truck gonna make the hard left onto pit lane. It's a throwback night here on Sim TV. 1987, stock cars out on track. Green flag flies, and we're racing from Daytona. Double file at the start here, Connor. How quickly will they see them single out? And is that the plan right now, or are you going to run double file and try to grab some spots while you're all still close together?
I don't know if you're going to have the chance to single file lap. We already got cars into the wall. I can't tell someone into the wall out of turn number 2. I think it's Mike Stevens in the 63.
Yeah, so Stevens in the 63. He's going to bail all the way to the back of the field there. He just got in the wall and got put 3 wide as here comes Race Clark up the outside, help from behind. That's the 17 of Cameron Rich, giving him a big shove into turn number 3, the long way around. The rear ends of these cars hanging out here, Connor. You got to drive them all the way around this track.
It's going to be tough to do, especially with how the tires are going to wear. I don't know if the tire wear is going to be worse than it was at Dega, but you're definitely not going to be able to, you're probably not going to be able to take no tires if you have to come down for a green flag stop. You need to take as many tires as you can right now. I don't think it's going to single file out, especially at a track as smooth as this, but I think the inside line, I think it's going to eat up the tires a little bit more, and I expect that outside line to get a bit stacked up at some point.
And speeds well over 200 miles an hour on the straightaway. Race Clark tucks in behind Matt Grunberg and Corey Lindsay on the bottom. That's that blue DuPont car you see. And he's had a good start to the night so far. He's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack into turn 3, bringing William Kruska in the number 6 behind him. And there's Cameron Rich in the 17. We've seen him be incredibly successful in 3-wide Racing League action before. And so far tonight, he started in 30s, dropped back a few spots, Connor, on that outside lane. But what was the dominant lane at Talladega last night?
It was definitely the outside lane. You could get a big run by staying behind someone down like the back stretch or the front stretch, and you could dive down on him into turn number 3, but you couldn't. The car wouldn't really stick. You'd have to lift, and you wouldn't get the run out of the turn to stay alongside that guy. Cameron Rich, he worked with Eisenman really well. Those two were pretty much at the front of the field before green flag pit stops yesterday. They were 2 of the favorites for sure. Got taken out by themselves a little bit late there, but Cameron Rich is on himself. I think he's going to have a really good, strong run at it today, but you got to catch that 54 car first.
Matt Grunberg's really solid, but Race Clark is also impressing me here early in the going. Tucked up right up underneath that kind of day glow yellow 54 out of turn 4. Look at the 6 of William Kruska to the bottom of the racetrack. Race Clark sideways right next to the 00 as they come across to complete lap number 3.
Yeah, Corey Lindsay actually had a pretty good run at the end last night too. He was the race leader coming to the second to last restart, but he actually passed the pace car, so he went down the order after the finish of that race. But he showed some good pace on old tires yesterday, and on fairly equal tires, he's making that inside line work along with Kruska.
On the back straightaway now, double file at the front. Everyone's searching for some draft, some slipstream. The car slipping and sliding around. Corey Lindsay, the 00 with a big run off the bumper of the 6 into turn 3. He noses ahead of the 54. With Nike and Apple on the side of that car. An era mismatch on that for sure, but a good looking race car. Here comes the 6 at the bottom of the racetrack.
The yellow's out. We got a wreck, I believe, at the back of the pack. A couple cars around into the inside wall. Nick Miller's involved. Donovan Smith as well.
And Donovan Smith, the one that we're looking at right now, backed into the wall pretty hard there. A more appropriate, era-appropriate Apple logo on the hood of that car as he comes out of turn 4. Ooh, there's the 9 of Nick Miller. But a first caution out on lap number 5. And not a good start for these drivers towards the back. Let's have a quick look at how this all started. And Donovan Smith was all sort of by himself. I wonder if it was up the road where this all began.
No, I think it was with Donovan, I believe. I think Nick Miller might have ran into it. Oh, he's already out of shape here. Oh, Dustin Dorr got into him. He had nowhere to go.
They just got up on the apron, came up off the racetrack. Nick Miller tried to get the car slowed down, couldn't though. 2 other cars piled into that, but looks like it was just a simple case of losing the nose here on the apron. You see the rear end step out. He's going to drop onto the apron, come back up. That's where he has the contact from behind.
Yeah, just nowhere for that 32 machine to go. Also, I believe the 02 of Jeremiah Llewellyn, he also piled into it as well. Dustin Dura was actually the one driver last night to have a blowover at Dega last night, so his couple of races of his season has not started well so far.
And definitely not. And again, we're not into the points paying stuff just yet, so maybe there's some silver lining there for the drivers that haven't had a lot of luck in these first 2 races. But this is probably going to be the easiest these cars are going to be to drive all season, as we see a mixed strategy here on pit lane here, Connor. But the cars are not going to get easier to drive throughout the season. This is the most space you're going to have. I cannot wait till we can get to some speedways and short tracks to really see the men get separated from the boys.
Oh yeah, the short tracks are definitely going to be where the skill shines. They already shine at a track like this with how much you really only have mechanical grip. You're really not much downforce on these cars. Those short tracks are going to be so key in this championship, I believe, this season.
So 4 drivers elect to stay out on the racetrack. Those drivers, Levi Zielinski, Cameron Rich, Tanner Sharp, and Sam Close. Tanner Sharp was the winner of the Talladega Clash the other night, Connor, and he has had quite the year in 3 wide. He's had all sorts of pace, but had trouble finding victory lane, and now in the first 87 Cup car event of the season, found his way there. And with a great-looking Mountain Dew livery on this car, he sits 3rd right now. Is he the one to watch tonight after his performance in Dega?
I think that definitely at the end, if a couple other contenders don't have the same luck as he did, I think he's definitely someone to look at for these big tracks. He was really good last night. He was up at the lead late. He was able to make a bunch of key blocks on the very last lap of that race. On the 5 of Sam Close, he made one very last block on Close to seal that deal there, able to get a win with no photo finish drama. But I think he is really strong. I think if he gets hooked up with the right type of people, he's going to be hard to beat.
Mike Stevens getting back out on the racetrack after his slide backwards earlier. Contact with the wall on the opening lap put him back in 24th. Jeremiah Llewellyn in the 0-2. That's another good-looking car, although it's a little better looking without the damage he sustained in that collision. Nick Miller on pit lane, Donovan Smith and Dustin Dewar receiving crash damage repairs. While we're under caution here, I'll mention that this past weekend I was in Sonoma, California working for CrowdStrike and SRO America. That trip is now over, but tomorrow I make my way over to Colorado, Colorado Springs and Pikes Peak International Raceway, the old IndyCar and NASCAR oval out there. And you can catch me live on the Grid Life official YouTube channel this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to watch not only Time Attack, HPD, and Drift, but also Grid Life Touring Cup. And that will be a special stream because we're going to have SimTV and iRacing featured on that channel during the main stream this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, so make sure that you tune in. Keep your eyes peeled on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for more information. 1 to green here, Connor. Re-rack him and restack him. What's the key on the restart here?
Just avoid a stack up if you're not the leader. I saw in the last couple of restarts, mainly the first restart as well, pretty much all the restarts that are single file on iRacing, you're always going to have a stack up somewhere from someone not catching up to the back of the next car, going up and down in speeds, varying speeds. You can see a lot of big accidents on these restarts that are single file, and it's really tough to gauge sometimes.
Interesting note that Matt Grunberg is on pit lane. He's been there for a while now, 30 seconds. He's still in the car, but was the race leader and has dropped all the way back to tail end of the field. And I wonder, looking at where his teammates are, the Jeffrey Fisher machine and then James Miller right in front, I'd have to wonder if this is a strategy call, Connor, to get him aligned with his teammate.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to try to help his teammates here. He's literally got nothing else to do. Already guaranteed to be on the front row.
Yes, that's correct.
The pole specifically. So the only thing he can really do is help his teammates to get them up front. So he has a lot of friends to work with there in the early going of the main event.
So, coming to the restart at lap number 8, the first crash of the night involving Dustin Dewar, Donovan Smith, Nick Miller, and Jeremiah Llewellyn. Pace truck going to peel off, going to leave the lead in the hands of the 97 of Levi Zielinski. Cameron Rich in behind, then Tanner Sharp, Sam Close, Corey Lindsay. The rest of the top 5. Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 250 qualifying event. Top 2 drivers, the 54 and the 22. Everyone else racing for positions at Daytona. Green flag back in the air, and Levi Zielinski brings us down.
He's already going to get swooped. He's already going to get passed here by the 17. It's Cameron Rich making a good move to the inside of Saul. Race Clark did not get a good jump at all. A lot of stacking up, a lot of contact already.
Yeah, that was Tanner Sharp slotting himself in right in front of Sam Close, and he cut that as close as possible. The 5 car way up the racetrack now as the 6 car turns up underneath them. The 74 and 00 going to buy a big push down the back straightaway from the yellow. That's the 74 Boyd to the outside. Here comes the 3 car of Sharp for the top spot.
And that's another problem with these single file restarts. If someone doesn't get through the gears as well as you really have nowhere to go. Tanner Sharp into the wall gets slow there. The 97 has to take evasive action. I think Sam Close got into the wall as well. But if someone doesn't get through the gears in front of you, you can't pass to the inside before that start-finish line, you basically have nowhere to go except right into the back of the person in front of you. It's really tough to get through the gears in these 87 cars.
A wild line through the middle of 3 and 4 for the 3 car. Here comes the 97 back to the bottom of the racetrack. That's Zielinski on Cameron Rich. Behind Corey Lindsay, Tanner Sharp fighting for second. 2 blurry motorsports cars. Then Race Clark, he's second on the front row for next week, but he's not done racing yet. He's got other fish to fry here tonight, and a big stack up on the bottom of the racetrack down the backstretch here, Connor, as the 22 looks to push the 00 into turn 3.
Can't do anything though to 97, drops slow to protect that line, but here comes Cameron Rich back again for the race lead. It looks like right now it's the 17 and 97, and maybe the 3 also battling it out for this lead right now.
And double file for the top spot. We're only 10 laps in. You'd think it's the last one. Big slide through the center of the tri-oval for the 97 as he turns down the racetrack. Look at the 17 hanging the rear end of that car out as well. They're just driving these things on their right rear tire, Connor.
Yeah, and you can see Cameron Rich, he's really trying to get an arc into the turns. Another problem with these 87 cars, you can't just ride that double yellow line to protect going through these turns. Zielinski almost went up the track trying to block. Here comes the 00 to the middle.
They touch!
Made.
And there goes the 00 way across the racetrack. He's going to slam the inside barrier. Does he get it stopped? He does, but there's more carnage in the middle of the field.
A huge big one. The 89, Brent Miller's involved. Trevor Butler nowhere to go. Sam closed into the grass, and Levi Zielinski didn't get away with that as well. A bit of they're sliding too much, maybe a little bit of blocking gone wrong.
Yeah, and I thought the 00 was going to slam the wall, but he actually got the car stopped, and he will walk away without any damage. So that is huge for Corey Lindsay as he slid out of view. But for the rest of the field, not so lucky. Let's go back and have a look at how this all started here, Connor, in slow motion. They came out of turn number 2. Watch the bottom right of your screen. The 97 gets loose. The 00 is going to go for that middle. So does the 3. The 97 comes back up across the racetrack, and that's where they touch.
And the 00 can't really do anything. He spins. We think his race is done, but Zielinski actually comes back up the track trying to lock him up to save it. Nowhere for a couple of these guys to go. To 12 and the 5, absolutely nowhere to go. The 89 also piles in. Someone went through the grass, did a really good job there, but the 00 getting spun out of all of that might have been really lucky for him.
Yeah, actually, I think that ended up being the best thing that could have happened. As you see the 97 come back across the racetrack, there's the 12 and the 5, and I think, what's that blue car there? Is that the 89 car that you mentioned? Or I think that... Better look at this. The 8, yeah, it is the 89. Would be Brent Miller, who just got a face full of the 97. And that's not the way that you want to start your event here. Here's another look as he comes into this. Is Brent Miller completely unsighted, trying to drive through the smoke, and all of a sudden, there's going to be the 97 right in front of him with nowhere to go.
And you see him trying to check up. The 10 doing a good job trying to check up. You see the 00 fly into the screen, and you're just going to see, he's just going to see a face full of Levi Zielinski. He's going to get a good view of everything under that car.
Not the view you want to see there. As we look out in the front here, you get a good look at. You see, he can't see anything right now. The 97 comes back up across the racetrack. You're shooting for the middle where all the other cars aren't. 97 locks down and he bounces off those other outside cars, and at that point, it's far too late. And these brakes, as you know, Connor, are not very effective. You can lock them down all you want, but you're not going to stop.
Now they're very difficult to get the cars slowed down on these 87 Cup cars. He piled into the 12 as well there. Big damage also at that point. But yeah, you need to really start. You basically got to lock the cars up to even try to avoid a wreck. You can't really navigate through them on the brakes like you can in newer cars. You really have no chance if you're too close to the crash.
Trevor Butler in the 12, and a lot of his damage was focused towards the side of the car, so he might be able to have something to work with. But see what kind of car he's got left at the end of this. Cameron Rich, current race leader. He's got Tanner Sharp in behind him. He's got not a scratch on that car. Then Race Clark, Michael Goodman, William Kruska in 5th. Carlos Acosta riding in 6th. James Panko, Mike Stevens. He's back up to 8th after all that. He managed to pile his way through that without getting a scratch on that car other than what he put on lap number 1.
Man, we pretty much the same circumstances as we saw yesterday. We saw a lot of people sliding early in the Dega race yesterday, and we saw a big one there. And I think this one is a little bit later, and obviously there's obviously a bit bigger of a crash, though. But it just doesn't seem like a lot of people had the cars under them early in these races.
Got the Chevy Monte Carlo versus the Ford Thunder Chicken out there. As they come across the start-finish line. I heard someone call it that, Connor, and I could not stop laughing for probably about a half an hour. But as you get the 1 to green, your lights are off in the base truck.
Definitely a new one for sure. I prefer Underbird though.
Underbird? That's good too.
Yeah, the Underbird. You heard that story, haven't you?
No, I haven't, dude. Is there a story?
Oh, the 92, I believe the 92 championship that Alan Kawicki won, they etched out the T and the H on the front of that car. They named it the Underbird.
I like that. I always thought the Kulwicki Cup would be a great name for the championship trophy in NASCAR.
Yeah, either that or maybe, I think Kawicki, yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of people who could choose them, but
sure.
I think Kawicki's definitely deserving.
Oh,
for sure.
I think so, and I think it rolls off the tongue nicely, and I think it. I would like the idea of having a trophy that means something more than just a championship. I think having some history tied to it would be sort of nice. And I really like the current design of the championship trophy. Released, I don't know if it's still the one that Monster created with all the tracks intertwined. I thought that was a really neat trophy.
I believe it is the same trophy, just not Monster branded. But yeah, it is a neat trophy. It looks very heavy though.
Yeah, it definitely is cool looking. I definitely like it better than the Sprint Cup flags thing that they had for a couple of years. But either way, I think a Kulwicki Cup would be a cool name for it.
I saw a tweet about the Winston Cup, that trophy they had. Someone calling that one completely ugly. I think it looked like it had like 3 or 4 trophies on it. It was a bit out there for sure.
Yeah. All right, it's about time to get back rolling here. We're in 12 laps complete. We're about to complete our 13th. And this race is going to go by quick. Once we get some green flag running in here, Connor, 40 laps is going to go by in the blink of an eye. But for Cameron Rich in the Boeing Ford Thunderbird, there's a little irony there. Isn't the F-16 the Thunderbirds? Aren't they? It's a McDonnell Douglas product. No, what's that? Who makes that?
Who makes
The F-16 Fighting Falcon. I'm gonna look that up when we go back green. And Cameron Rich leads us down on lap number 14.
A much more organized single file restart. A couple guys dipping low. William Cruz could try to make something happen for 4th, but Tanner Sharp's wasting no time trying to go for the race lead.
The F-16 is created by General Dynamics, in case you know.
I think I have heard that before. I definitely would never remember it, though.
The F-16 Fighting Falcon. Down the back straightaway, the 3 car takes the lead away, blocks the 22 off as the 22 is going to look to the bottom of the racetrack now, challenge for the race lead into turn number 3, and 17's going backwards, but he's been stuck to that wall groove there, Connor. I think he likes the momentum carrying that you can do on the high side of the racetrack.
I think Tanner Sharp has the same idea. It looked like he just gave Race Clark the bottom there. As you see, it starts to work out into a trioval for the 3 and the 17. Look at the run the 17 of Cameron Rich has. Those two, if they get hooked up together, they're going to be hard to beat as well.
Off into turn 1 now. Double file up at the front of the field. There's the 44, Michael Goodman, in the very patriotic-looking Chevy Monte Carlo, tucked in back in about 6th spot. Now out of turn 2, big slide. These drivers hanging them on the edge of control all the way around the racetrack. And down the backstretch, the 17 pushing the 3 towards turn 3.
And a huge run for Tanner Sharp. He's clear down low, but I don't think he really wants to give up that positioning on the outside as Race Clark gets a huge run through the center of the corner. It wiggles a little bit out of turn 4, a bit sideways. Can't keep the momentum up, and Cruz just can't push that well.
I love watching these guys manhandle these race cars. It's such a nice departure from the slot cars we're used to seeing. These guys have to stand on the edge of control the whole time. Look at William Cruz up here. I think he was disappointed in his run at Talladega, but here he is on the back of the 22, up inside the top 5, and looking for a spot. He's going to grab 3rd, and how about maybe going for 2nd on the backstretch, right on the bumper of that Dr. Pepper 22.
I don't think he wants to go through wide right now, but yeah, he made a mistake or two in that Dega race late on where he could have had a chance at a potential top 5 or a victory, and he's looking to redeem himself tonight, and he's looking good so far.
Through turns 3 and 4, the sun peeking out of turn number 4, and a big slide on the high side of the racetrack. Look at the 44 all over the place as they come through the trial. Well, there's the 2 of Carlos Acosta. He started the night in 19th. He's up to 5th. Big slide to the 3 through the trioval as well. We're going to say, take a shot every time we say big slide tonight.
Yeah, big slide, tire spin, whatever you want to call it. There's so many variables when it comes to separating these 2020 Cup cars from 87. There's so many big differences. It's kind of hard to keep up with them.
There's the 89 of Brent Miller returning to the racetrack after being involved in that recent caution. In the background, you see the 54 car of Matt Grunberg, who's on pole for next week's race. He doesn't want anything to do with the battle at the front right now. Race Clark, however, has it, and William Kruzka wants it. He's going to nose his way into 2nd place. And the 3 car on the high side getting a push from Cameron Rich, but they have not been able to go forward as quickly as they thought there, Connor. They've been sort of stuck 2nd and 3rd so far.
And I'm kind of surprised Race Clark hasn't moved to that top lane. It's like maybe he wants to try to bring Kruska to that top lane so they can control the race on the top, but it doesn't seem like they can get a big enough run through the center of the corner to clear all of those guys.
Camera Rich has been flirting with that wall every single time they go through 1 and 2. Now look at Carlos Acosta giving a shove to the back of the 6 car down the backstretch into turn number 3, side by side for the race lead as we approach the halfway point of the qualifying race for the Daytona 250. Oh, Goodman in the wall, just touched it in turn 3.
He's wiggling all over the place trying to keep it under him. And
Oh,
he's
no,
going
they
to
touch!
Oh, then a big crash yet again, the 0-0 into the outside wall.
Caution is out, more trouble. Alex Boyd and the 11 car of Skylar Nissel is going to just tag the wall as well. Brady Smith through the grass, he'll pull it back on. But another caution, our third of the night. And this time the 0-0 doesn't get away with it as well as he did before.
I was just about to say, look who's back up there. It seems like he just 3 wide through the middle is not working out for him tonight. I believe that's the second time that same circumstances happened, but it came from the right side of his car this time. It doesn't look like he's going to have a lot to work with now.
Yeah, here's the 44, and he goes up the racetrack, and the 0-0 shoots for the middle, and right there he gets loose, comes up into the 63 of Stevens, bounces off, and that's where the 10 of Alex Boyd slams the inside wall. And Skylar Nissel trying to miss it all, and the FedEx 11 just tags it at the end, but Lindsay just got put himself in a bad spot there, backed it into the fence. And Nissel, I think Nissel just got a piece of the 0-0, and that's what sent him towards the inside.
Yep. A couple people I saw, I think it was James Miller there who did a good job of avoiding the 0-0 spinning through the pack.
Ooh, James Miller and the 54 Greenberg did as well. The brakes glowing on the 11, but that's minor front end damage. That car should be able to be repaired at least somewhat. Take another look. They came out of turn number 4. Let's get another better look at the 0-0 as he came into the corner. And he again, the 44 slips, Connor, and then the 0-0 shoots for the middle, and that's where he gets loose.
Yeah, you don't want to. I guess he doesn't want to lift. He wants to keep as much track position as he can, but he might have made it work. He just came down too far onto the 63. The 10 nowhere to go as well, and pretty much cost himself a perfectly good race car, which was unfortunate. Though there's the 87 who did a really good job avoiding it there, and the 11 just barely clipped that left front that sent them spinning into the inside wall.
The other car I saw that kind of sped through that, I was trying to that was I think one other car, Brady Smith, that had a wild ride through the grass. Let's ride on board with him here.
You see here, oh, he just missed some car there, and then it looks confused. It looks like he doesn't want to rejoin the track there. Let's see what he sees. He sees the 44 into the wall, losing all that momentum. He sees 3 wide, and he's probably lifting a little bit. He probably knows what's coming. Big crash. They come down the track, and that bounce, the 10 getting bounced along with the 0-0 pretty much saved him. He doesn't know where to come up. He's going to go for a joyride here.
Through the grass, and let's watch on board. Watch his, I wish we could see his eyes behind those goggles there, Connor. He's going to sweep right through the middle, car spinning on either side. That is a cool looking shot right there as he returns to the racetrack through the grass.
Hey, it's a joyride. He looks pretty calm behind the wheel.
Calm, cool, and collected. Cool as a cucumber, as green as his car. With the John Deere colors on it this week. Lap number 20,
perfect.
As we're hitting halfway here, Connor. So far, what have you seen? It's been sort of messy so far, but the 3, the 22, and the 17, and the 6, the top 4, have really been the class in the field so far.
Yeah, and also Carlos Acosta's been in that 5th position for a long time as well, it seems like. I saw the first big one yesterday, and it seemed like, and then we got a long green flag run after that, and it seems like that's not going to be the case this race. There's not really enough time for a long run. The longest run we're going to get is around 20 laps. I don't expect it to really go green from here. I think I expect a lot more people to get taken out. It just seems like a lot of these guys can't handle this smooth racetrack, which is kind of surprising to me.
Well, we've been out here for over a half an hour already, which is sort of surprising because if you take a look at the laps we've got left, that's halfway right there, 20 to go. I'm looking at my my timing and scoring, which I should mention. You can also take a look at simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. Well, we've got about, if we go green to the end here, Connor, that's like 14 minutes of racing. 14 minutes is not a lot of time at Daytona. So if you're sitting back 9th, 10th place like Matt Grunberg, James Miller, Nick Boyd, you got to get going because you're going to run out of time pretty quick. Tanner Sharp, Race Clark, Cameron Rich, they've got control of this race, and now they just got to be defensive and look out in the mirror.
With how much these cars slide around, you really only have at the most 2 lanes to work with. Daytona's already a narrow track at these speeds, and we've seen 3 wide not work already countless times. So you kind of have to make some crazy moves happen at some point to try to take control back from these 4 or 5 guys. It's going to be really difficult to get back up there, though.
Well, you mentioned the speeds, and I think in the corners we're running probably, over 190. The straights, we're well over 200 by the time we get to the corners, and especially once you start wearing out those tires, it's a pretty sizable lift into the turn, and then getting back to the throttle, you're really upsetting the car and kind of stepping the rear end out. So there's definitely a management quality to a lot of these drivers as they try to negotiate these race cars with higher speeds and way less downforce than most of them are used to.
I think that's another thing people are struggling with, lifting at Daytona. I think a lot of people can't come to grips with it. You had to lift yesterday, not too much for a wide track like Dega, but with how narrow this track is, that wall comes up really fast, and they don't think to lift, or you might even have to trail brake a little bit into these turns. A lot of people aren't understanding that as we're going green here. Here comes the 12 up.
Yep, that's the 12 of Trevor Butler. He is 3 laps down on the inside lane at the restart, and we're racing again with 19 laps to go from Daytona in the qualifying race for the Daytona 250, the Prelude. As we head down into turn 1, Tanner Sharp is in control of the field as they all hunt for the top spot.
Kruska didn't get through the gears well. He's going to lose some of his track position. Carlos Acosta with a really good restart there. He's able to get the P4 into 22 into 3. Bumper to bumper off of turn 2. Contact.
A big slide for the 3 car. Here comes Race Clark up the outside. He's going to get the shove of a lifetime from the 17, but Cameron, he actually backs off that. There's really no need to be bump and slam drafting right now, Connor. I think there's still enough time left in this race where you don't need to be that urgent that you're making contact.
Yeah, you just have to be careful, make sure you keep your track position. You really don't have to race too hard. Acosta almost got into a wall there. Kruska goes for the 4th position yet again, but you just have to be pretty much safe, and just like we said with the John Deere car, calm, cool, and collected is what you really need here.
3 teammates line astern. That's Matt Grunberg, Jeffrey Fisher, and James Miller. Grunberg bisecting the blue car and the white and purple. Those are all teammates together, and right behind them is Jordan McKeeboy, a 4th teammate in that group. So they're all together right now and charging through the field. Race Clark out front with Tanner Sharp behind him. And Sharp's going to sweep up to driver's right and go for the lead with the 17 car pushing. Now the 17 drops to the bottom.
And the 22 kind of has no run there. The 17 is going to go to the top lane to work with him right there. And I see these teammates, the 54, 09, 98. They're really trying to make something happen to get through. They tried the middle. They both had the lift. I'm just wondering, when they do get to these top 4, what are they going to do? Because there's really nowhere else to go as they're going 3 wide again.
Through the Tri-Oval at Daytona, lap number 24 underway. Bump drafts at the front of the field. And our top 4 drivers have been the ones that have been here all night long, but there are teammates charging forward. Fisher, Grunberg, Miller, all coming to the front and helping each other. That gives them a big advantage here, Connor. Maybe not quite as organized teammate work as we're used to watching the Xfinity or Modern Cup cars, but certainly I think having friends up here will help you.
And that's the thing I'm concerned about. If you don't have friends, you're kind of getting hosed. We see Carlos Acosta, who was going for 4th place not too long ago. He's already back, I believe, about 8th or 9th place. Teammates just took over him there. To 74 of, I believe that's Nick Boyd. He's made his way up as well. These teammates, they're 2 by 2. They're 2 wide actually right now as the 09's actually lifting. Tanner Sharp checking up in the top lane. I'm wondering where they're going to go because I don't think they want to risk the middle lane right now.
2:06 into turn 1 for the race leader. And for everyone else in behind him as they rocket off into turn number 1. Now at the exit of 2, coming to 15 to go this time by down the back straightaway, double wide at the front of the field, but Race Clark handles the lead with William Kruska tucked in behind. We'll see if Bill can be patient here. It's all about patience to the end because these cars, like the Modern Cup cars, you can pass anywhere on the racetrack if you're aggressive enough. You just got to be really talented and make it work without taking yourself and other people out of the race.
And with the draft, how important it is in these old cars, you can really come back from a long ways back. You can't really pull away. I mean, you can pull away, but if you do pull away, you're gonna have to make sure you are the best blocker in the world. And I don't know if any of these guys are even gonna risk blocking too hard. As the 22 and 6, they got far out, but they got caught really quickly after they got their lead. And Tanner Sharp's already back on the outside.
Down the backstretch, 200 miles an hour plus. Let's take a look at Race Clark's terminal velocity here. 207, 208, 209, 210, 212. Look at Tanner Sharp, 215 off into turn number 3. It's just sailing. That is near takeoff speed down to the backstretch into 3. And at the exit of 4, the time is running out. Which one of these drivers, Connor, is going to win this race?
I think Tanner Sharp looks way too strong right now. I know Race Clark has been leading, but that 3 car just looks so strong on the outside lane with the help from Cameron Rich. If the 3 can't win, I think Cameron Rich is the guy to beat, but that 3 car looks way too strong.
Another car we haven't mentioned yet tonight, Kevin Finn, the 14, big slide, the 17 in the fence, the 3 car up the middle, sucker hold, nowhere to go, and it's chaos at the exit of turn 2 as everyone tries to find room to race. 3 wide on the backstretch. This is not going to work out.
Yeah, I spoke too soon. I'll blame that. That's my fault, Tanner. I apologize for that. He's going to back out of that right in front of a 20, and all that track position is gone. So I guess it's down to Cameron Rich, who's my alternate pick. We'll see what the 3 can do, as he's still in the middle with this lead pack, as now it looks like the 98 is in control.
As they come through the Trialville, now lap 28 of 40 in the qualifying race for the Daytona 250. Race Clark leads the way. Fisher in the 98 up on the outside, then William Kruska in the 6 on the bottom. Behind them, the 14 of Kevin Finn. That is that yellow, orange, and red livery. And there's James Miller in the 09, who's also been pretty quiet here tonight. Got teammates behind him and in front of him. Look at the run he's going to get. The 17 in the middle.
Whoa! The 17 might get, he's trying to get back to the outside line, but I don't think he's not going to be able to get in front of the 54. The 54 shoots the top. He can't make it work. Contact is made, and the 54 is separated from his teammates, but the 98 and 09 making it work up there.
They got squeezed through 3 and 4. Now, on the front straightaway, Jeffrey Fisher tastes the lead with help from James Miller, coming to 12 laps to go, this time through lap 29 of 40. Fisher leads that lap with Miller in second. Lap traffic ahead, but Race Clark will have to settle for third for now, but tries to look at the bottom, and door slams shut.
I was wondering, the 22 and 6, they were really working well together. I was wondering if Race Clark would go up there to block at all. He looked high in 1 and 2 last time by, and he wasn't able to make that move work. And I don't know if he's going to be able to make anything work on the outside. These 2 teammates hooked up together. It's going to be tough to beat them.
And look at the 22 up the outside to split them. He's going to push the 98 into turn 3, and he'll have the outside lane. William Kruska to the bottom of the racetrack. They touch.
Oh, in contact.
The 22 sideways. He's going to tag the 74. A vicious crash in the 3rd and 4th corner. The caution is out with 11 laps to go, and Boyd, it's the worst end of that one.
Kind of saw that coming. I mean, the 22 really tried to send it to go for the move to get control back of the race, and he had to lift so much. That's the biggest lift I've seen since, I guess, yesterday with Harvick in the new Cup package. But it was either the wall or going down into the 6. Race Clark just had no control there.
Now here's William Kruska, who just charged up in behind the 22, and you see the 22, he got out of the groove, comes down the racetrack just a little bit. That's where the 6 car tags him. And then watch the 74. He's going to get just hooked right here and slams the wall. That is one of the worst wrecks I think I've seen one of these cars take here, at least tonight. There's the 21 of McKeeboy just skirting on through. But watch this impact here. We'll watch Tanner Sharp's do in a second, but watch this. 74 tries to miss it, turns down, tagged, bam.
Very eerie of a couple unfortunate wrecks in turn 4. Obviously, the 21 barely missed it. Tanner Sharp, I can't believe he didn't make contact there.
Let's look. Down. Whoa, man, that was close.
That would have been bad if he got caught up in that. He would only have been able to blame himself for getting him back up in that mess.
Look at this.
That's unbelievable. You couldn't separate them by more than that. That is unbelievable right there. Race might have been a bit unlucky, too, of a bit of net code, but that's just how it goes on the service.
This is got to be one of the closest near misses I think I've seen in a long time. Right there. That's not even an inch between those 2 cars. Not a scratch on it either. And with all the chaos that Tanner Sharp has had tonight, he's going to wind up in 10th for the restart. Now let's talk restarts here, Connor. We're going to have probably 7 or 8 laps to go. Got Jeffrey Fisher, James Miller out front. Cameron Rich is sitting in 3rd, and he's been racy tonight.
He has been racy, but now he's got to deal with 2 teammates up at the front. He was working well with Tanner Sharp, and that he's now gone. And William Kruska as well, who was working well with Race Clark. Now he doesn't have the 22 with him. I don't know how they're going to be able to separate these 2 teammates. They're going to be locked to each other for the rest of the race, likely.
Kevin Finn rides in 5th, and Carlos Acosta has worked his way up into 6th after starting in 19th. Matt Grunberg, we documented his day, won the pole for next week's race, then dropped to the back just to work his way back forward, and he went back there, picked up his teammates, and brought them all inside the top 10, and that's where they all are now. So those cars sitting pretty right now as it stands. The best of the 2, Fisher and Miller, on the top 2 spots for the restart here in just a moment. So a pretty wild race so far this evening, and Cameron Rich, let's talk about his night so far. He's led only 6 laps. The 3 car of Tanner Sharp has only led 7. William Kruska has led 0. Jeffrey Fisher's led 3. I mean, who has led laps here tonight? I'd say probably the 22 Race Clark, but he's only led 7. Seems like it's been split pretty evenly across the board tonight.
Yeah, all these guys pretty much splitting the leadership because of how the runs off the top work and all that. A couple, picking which lines which. We've seen a bunch of people who I've thought have dominated, but not one single person has dominated. That might change in these last couple of laps because I don't know how easily the 98 and the 09 are going to work together. I keep saying it over and over again. I just think Jeffrey Fisher and James Miller are going to be really tough to beat for these last, I believe, 7 or so laps. But I know the 17's fast. He might be able to get hooked up with Kruska, who lost his running partner, and maybe those two can work something out.
I can tell you this restart is going to be wild, and I'm not sure we're done with accidents yet here tonight, Connor. Do we know how many green white checkers are in this? I know we had one the other night.
I believe it should be 1 again.
I think that sounds right. 1 sounds right. So we'll see if that is the case here this evening.
And I know one more rule that applies regarding to the final lap. You can't pass below the double yellow line here until that final lap. Then it's fair game wherever you want to go. So we'll see if that comes into play. I don't believe it came into play last night, but you really never know, especially with all that room low out of turn number 2, all that pavement they use. Who knows where they're going to go?
They're coming back to the restart, lap number 32 of 40. We'll have about 8 left in the race when it's all said and done here. My logos are not turning. That's a problem. Let's reboot. Solve that problem.
Just to make sure no one can no one else can
Yeah,
steal
we'll
our
leave it
content.
there the whole time. Usually those auto turn off, so I'm not exactly sure why that's the case. But time to go back racing, lap 32 of 40. We'll have 8 laps to go.
8 laps. Yep. Trying to see if any new tires might work out here. I know a couple people pit who might have damage. I'm not sure how much of a factor that's going to play, though.
They're back all the way, starting with Michael Goodman back in 12th. That's a long way to come in 8 laps, but I don't think it's impossible. Green flag back in the air from Daytona as the 98 and 09 offset to driver's left. The 17 going to sneak up the outside. He wants to go back for the top spot.
Nothing doing there. No help from Kruska. Kruska kind of laid off. Carlos Acosta, I think he might be the best restarter in the field right now. Another good restart to the inside to get the 5th position. And look at the 17 drop off the top. He gets right in front of Kruska. That's not going to work. Acosta on the apron. They were able to save it, though.
Big slides for both those drivers. They're going to hang on for now. Down the back straightaway, the teammates line astern, pushing and shoving, trying to build a gap behind them. The 17 and 6, they're racing for position. The 2 car holding back a mountain of drivers who want to grab a win here tonight in the preseason. The 21, big slide through 3 and 4, Connor.
Yeah, these top 2 are pretty much gone right now, but you don't want to get too big of a lead over that 17, and if the 6 gets to the back bumper of the 17 at the perfect time, they might have a huge run. These top 4 are in a league of their own for the time being.
And Cameron Rich, we heard him lift, so I think he's satisfied hanging out in 3rd for now as you rocket through turn number 1. Behind him, double file from Kevin Finn on back. Tanner Sharp trying to rebound spin out of turn number 2. That's the 11 car, Skylar Nissel. He slams the wall. Caution is out.
That's probably not what Cameron Rich wanted to see right there. He was getting ready to play that perfectly and get a run, and unfortunately a couple wrecks at the back there have happened today, and I don't think this will force us to into a green-white checker, but we are getting pretty close.
No, cautions are pretty short here, so I don't think we're going to see that be a factor, but Nissel, I think, is all on his own here. Off into turn 1, the car is going to step out on entry. You see it right there. Slide down the racetrack, up onto the apron, then back across the racetrack, and absolutely just annihilates the safety barrier up there.
That's the worst thing you can do when you get loose like that into the turn. Overcorrecting like that is pretty much a game ender no matter where you do it or what type of speed you do it. It would have been best to lock up, but obviously as a driver, you want to correct it back out and save it, and it's just really hard to do that most of the time, especially the transition from the back into the apron, really throwing your rhythm off with how much you're turning the wheel. It's pretty hard to do.
With that, we're going to step away until the restart here. Just take a quick break. We'll be right back for the conclusion of the preseason race for qualifying for the Daytona 250 next week at Daytona. Stick with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV in the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. 3 laps away from a finish here at Daytona for our prelude to next week's Daytona 250. Our front row already set, 54 Matt Grunberg, 22 Race Clark. Everyone else racing for bragging rights and a starting position in next week's race at Daytona. A 40-lap feature for what will be a good race next week from what we've seen so far, Connor. But it has been treacherous out there to say the least tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see how many incidents we've seen. A lot of people slipping and sliding, getting too close to an outside wall, too many risky 3-wide moves, and I think we're going to see a lot more 3-wide in these last 3 laps here.
Coming to the restart with 3 laps to go from Daytona. Green flag back in the air, racing again from the 2.5-mile metropolis of motorsport racing.
And we already have a wreck, a big stack up in the back. Something happened there. Jeremiah Llewellyn facing backwards in the grass, and just like that, we don't make it far at all, and it's going to be a green-white checkered.
All right, this might be our only attempt at it as well, so caution right back out. And this is probably a result of people being naughty on the restart here. Yeah, and this is what happens, Connor, when you're trying to... You see these big gaps that Donovan Smith left in the 1 and the 88, and they're leaving these big gaps, and they're just timing this all wrong. And this is why you have to stay bunched up, because it just creates cautions like this.
It's really infuriating being a part of it happening and seeing it happening. It's a simple concept. Stay bunched up with the guy behind you, but people just want to get that advantage so badly that they just don't care. And this is exactly what happens. The 88 checks up, and it's just a stacked up. And there's nothing Llewellyn did wrong there. Really, he's just
he was just a victim in all this. He's actually tucked up pretty close to the 1 car in front of him. But just a lot of checking up going on and too many big gaps left in there. So Llewellyn just a victim in that. But with the green-white checkered back out, this is really helping Fisher, Miller, Cameron Rich, and William Kruska, because they're all really controlling the front, couple dozen yards of this this field. And it's not going to allow someone like Tanner Sharp the time to go up there and run him down.
Yeah, with how that restart went, you really don't know if they're even going to be able to do it again, because it just seems like a lot of people want to get that jump. We've seen Carlos Acosta do the restarts perfectly, and he doesn't have to lay back for him. It blows my mind that stuff happens. It always happens in IndyCar with their single file restarts, and that's the risk you run with people who just don't understand how to stay bunched up.
Llewellyn hits pit lane to try to repair that car and get back rolling. I really dig the livery on this car. It kind of reminds me of like really old diecast cars that you'd find, like 1/64th scale ones, in some old dusty cardboard box in a thrift store. Kind of a cool looking livery on that thing.
Yeah, unfortunately banged up like it's from a thrift store. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it definitely. Brady Smith in the number 20. This is a new driver to the series that we haven't talked about a whole lot tonight other than his excursion through the grass, but started 21st, which is towards the tail of the field. He sits inside the top 10 right now. Pretty impressive go so far for the number 20. Yeah,
a couple of guys who have fought their way from a bad qualifying effort to get a good starting spot for the main event. Brady Smith, like you said, had his run through the grass there, and he's done a really good job keeping his car clean for the most part when everyone else has pretty much been wrecking all over the place. He has some front end damage, but other than that, he's done a pretty solid job. Also, Carlos Acosta, as I was talking about his restarts, he's up from 19th, like we've said a few times, and Kevin Finn in the 14 machine as well, all the way up from 22nd, I believe, and he is sitting in 7th right now.
Yeah, and even behind them, a little bit deeper in the field, Vic Bloom, 27th to 13th. He did not qualify, but he's sitting just outside a top 10 run. So we might see him be aggressive here on the restart. Mike Stevens as well. Remember, he started his race lap 1 in the fence, got involved in a wreck later in the night. The rear end of that car severely shortened up. But he's still out there kicking, and he's sitting 15th with a chance to improve. But I think one of our winners is going to be one of the drivers inside the top 5. I'd put my bet it's going to be one of the top 4, considering how dominant they've been tonight, at least in the late going.
I'll be honest and go a step further. I think our winner is in the top 2 for sure. I don't see them getting by these 2 teammates. The 17, whoa! The 12, I guess, getting his lap back. That was a bit close. But yeah, these top 2, they've already been working together for the few laps they have been up front. It didn't seem like the 17 and the 6 could materialize anything. And I don't know if we're even going to get a lap in this green-white checkered. I don't know if they're going to have time to get these 2 guys.
We're going to see. The other question is, this is just for qualifying. If you're James Miller, are you going to work with your teammate or are you going to go for it? This really doesn't matter all that much. Are you willing to step out of line and maybe cost you and your teammate a run at a good starting position, or does it not matter and this is just going for the win for fun?
I wouldn't think it matters because you got his teammate, the 54. He's going to be starting on pole. I guess it only really matters to see who gets that third spot to be lined up behind the 54. Because if they're third and fourth, they can kind of just maybe possibly ditch the guy in second, possibly. I really don't think it matters who's third and who's fourth. But I mean, I wouldn't expect Miller to try anything outrageous here.
I do think that they might work together until the white flag flies, but by the time we get to the back straightaway on the last lap, I think all bets are off. The 54 is going to line up in 6th on this restart. Carlos Acosta in 5th, and Kruzka, Rich, Miller, and Fisher 5th through the lead. Tanner Sharp, we mentioned his slide rearward. He has been unable to really climb all the way back through, but he sits 8th and might be a little devious on this restart. I know it's far back, Connor, but don't count him out just yet. We still got 5 miles to run at Daytona.
I wouldn't really count anyone out who's really in the top 10 or 12 right now. So a lot of things could happen here. And Kevin Finn's one, you could always steal it. Matt Gruenberg, we know what he can do. He might try to work to get back up with his teammates, maybe get some spots back from those couple of guys and keep them up in the top 2 for now. We'll see what happens with him.
Green, white checkered in the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. The qualifying prelude for the Daytona 250. Fisher, Miller, Rich, Kruzka, Acosta. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go. 5 miles around the World Center of Racing.
It seems like a much more organized start that time. Not really much stacking up, at least not bumper to bumper as much as we've seen earlier in the race. Those top 2 are pretty formed up.
Just keep in mind that the timing and scoring and overtime will not update live, so that's why we're going to the top ticker, which updates once every time around. Through turn number 2, the teammates pulling ahead, but look behind him. The 17, the 6 stepped out of line with the 54 tucked in, and look at Matt Gruenberg. He might be able to get up there and run with his teammates, but Cameron Rich says, nuh-uh. He's going to jump up there and drag the 6 car with him.
I'm wondering to see when the 17 tries to make a move as Kruzka way loose on the top lane trying to save it. Gruenberg has nowhere to go. Cameron Rich lost his help. He might still try to go to the outside anyways. There he goes.
And to the start-finish line. Can we get a green flag finish in here tonight? Across the start-finish line. White flag, 1 lap to go. 2.5 miles from Daytona as they come across the line. And Cameron Rich up on the outside. Teammates on the bottom. And Rich going up against 2 Monte Carlos and his Thunderbird trying to separate them and grab the win.
He's trying to pinch really hard on the right rear of the 09, pulling him back, letting the 98 get away. He's got the good side draft down the backstretch, but he's going to get boxed in by the 09.
Oh, man!
He's got the move to the inside all of a sudden.
What a move by Cameron Rich across the racetrack. The 09 spins. Kruzka goes with him. It's a crash in turn 3 and 4. But here comes Cameron Rich to the front of the field in a remarkable move on the back straightaway. Can he hang on? Coming to the checkers. Enormous crash behind him to the start-finish line. Who's going to win it? Cameron Rich or Jeffrey Fisher to the line? Cameron Rich with an unbelievable move on the back straightaway. He gets the job done at Daytona. Unbelievable. That was spectacular.
I thought he was getting dumped into the inside grass, but he was able to save it and make an amazing move for the lead to split up those teammates. Those teammates right now, they're going to be upset. They go from 1-2 to 2nd and 7th in the spot. Acosta was able to get 3rd there. Brady Smith limped it home for 4th, and I think pretty much everyone else was taken out in that.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe that Cameron Rich was able to make that move, make it stick, and drive away from the massive wreck behind him. We will watch that in just a moment, but first, we are going to watch the 17 celebrate. And again, this is just a preseason race. This doesn't count for anything, but he's going to have a blast celebrating this one back to winning form at Daytona. The Boeing 17 Thunderbird gets it done at Daytona.
Yeah, with a move like that, you absolutely have to celebrate it. I thought he was done. He was boxed in and everything, and he was still able to beat the 2 teammates working together.
And we will go back and watch the move. We'll watch the wreck and watch it all happen in the mirror of the 17. Jeffrey Fisher fought hard, ended up losing by 60 thousandths of a second. A great finish there. But for Rich, I think the important piece is that he is going to be a force to be reckoned with this season. Let's go back and watch this last lap maneuver led by the 17. And I'm just shocked that it worked out as nicely as it did, all things considered. Let's go back and watch this move down the backstretch.
Yeah, he's boxed in. He wants to go to the inside. The 09 actually comes up trying to box him in too hard, gets him in the left rear, but it's up perfectly for Cameron Rich. He gets to the inside in the move. Then William Kruska doors James Miller, and Calamity happens behind him. All but only 3 cars really getting through that. A couple cars going on their roof. Tanner Sharp upside down. 2 or 3 cars going flying. The 44 as well. Pretty much everyone was taken out in that. Tanner Sharp doing a little break dancing.
That was unbelievable. That crash. Look at this slide through 3 and 4. Look at the 44 up and over the top of a couple of cars.
In the 21 as well, getting some big air. The 99, Vic Bloom, he had a clean car before that, and it's pretty much trashed. Everyone, no one's lifting for the wreck on the final lap. Look at the 20. He finished, I believe, 3rd or 4th. He somehow got through that. Look at Grunberg. Car going under him. That was the 63.
That was Mike Stevens, went underneath Matt Grunberg. But the move I thought was so spectacular was this one right here. The 17 getting tagged and hooked on the bumper of the 09 and Miller, slides across the racetrack. That is phenomenal stuff.
I don't mean to take away from him, but it was definitely a little bit of an accidental move there. It just worked out perfectly for him to not get turned. Credit to him, he was able to save it, not go to the grass. And he was able to get a huge run into turn 3 somehow.
Watch this from on board the 6 car of William Krusko, ended up finishing in 6th. Watch this.
You see the 09 comes up a little bit trying to box him in. It just doesn't work, and the 17 just gets a huge run. Kruska's in a good spot. He tries to shoot the middle right there, and there's just nowhere to go. The 09's on the inside trying to do a save.
And behind, whoa! Man, what a violent wreck.
A huge hit Kruska had there.
So with all that said and done, here's a look at your race results. A wild one from Daytona. Cameron Rich is going to win in the number 17 Boeing Ford Thunderbird. And that, again, isn't going to matter a whole lot in terms of the points, but I think for bragging rights, he's got them all. Jeffrey Fisher, second. Carlos Acosta, Brady Smith, Race Clark, Kruska, McKeevoy, Bloom, Donovan Smith, and James Miller rounding out your top 10 here, Connor. But I think for Matt Grunberg, well, it didn't really matter where he finished after his qualifying effort, but I know one driver that's going to be disappointed, Tanner Sharp, 16th best.
Yeah, he was definitely a top 3, top 5 car for the majority of that race, but we saw the mistake he made, got mirrored back in traffic, and he couldn't do anything else after that.
There's one last look at your results here. We're going to jump to break for just a minute. We'll be right back with interviews from your top 3. Stick with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV and the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. For Carlos Acosta, a drive through the field and missing the chaos at the end. Carlos, 3rd place for you. It'd be a good starting spot next week in the Daytona 250. But walk us through that last restart and kind of negotiating your way around all the chaos and confusion that was swirling around your Monte Carlo in the last couple corners.
All right. Well, thanks. Thank you so much. First of all, I do want to apologize to the 54. I knew I had to go up high to avoid that wreck. I just wish I didn't turn as sharply and shoved him into the wall. But my car was fast. No, it wasn't that fast. I struggled pretty much that whole race just trying to get the line. I could work the inside pretty well, but I need to figure out that outside line if I want to have even the smallest chance of winning next week. Thankfully, unlike the previous years, I now have a full week for me to prepare for that race. But just sitting there on that last lap, I knew that I had no chance of even passing anybody. I was trying my best to finish in the top 5 unless an incident happened, and then I think Cam cut down on a driver and they started bunching up a little, and I knew that something would have happened, but I was not going to back off the throttle, and I was prepared to wreck and finish like 20th if need to, just because. I was going for it this week. I was going for it today. I was taking it easy yesterday. I don't know why. I should have gone for it as well, but I wanted to make up for that embarrassment of a show I had yesterday and just go for it. And they ended up going side by side, getting loose, and I knew it was go high or get involved. And I went high, hit the 54 up into the wall, and somehow came out third. And you know what? I'll take that over what I've been battling with today and yesterday.
Well, these cars are hard to drive, Carlos, and you managed to get through all that chaos and grab a third place, a top 5. Good luck next week in the Daytona 250. Thanks for talking.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. On now to James Miller in the 09 car, who ended up finishing unofficially in 10th spot. James, coming to the end of that race, it looked like you were in a great spot, but some contact and almost all went away. You still grabbed a top 10, but take us through the end of the race there.
Yeah, we put ourselves in a perfect position behind Jeff there, and just trying to pull a lead there on the restart. And I knew Cam was catching back up, and I was trying to get Jeff to block him, and then use myself as a pinch. And I kind of pinched a little too hard, and clipped his quarter panel a bit. And I'm not sure why the game or the simulator, however you want to call it, cooperated so well with that contact, because that was the most realistic car contact I think I've seen, and the fact that we both kept going into the corner was pretty impressive, and for him to win from almost wrecking like that was pretty cool, but pretty disappointed with basically not getting wrecked, but everyone fighting for the end there, trying to go 3 wide. I ended up getting doored into the corner, and that big wreck happened, but somehow managed to pass everybody who was parked still and get 10th. But we'll probably just drop to the front or to the back come next week anyways, and ride around like we normally do, save our cars to the end, and put ourselves in the same position, hopefully come out on the top side of it.
Well, the strategy worked. The result wasn't quite there, James, but still a strong effort. 10th place. We'll see you next week at Daytona.
All right, thank you.
Moving on now to our second place finisher. It's Jeffrey Fisher in the 98. Team effort tonight, Jeffrey, for that, but it all sort of went away on the last lap. Take us through the restart and trying to work with your teammate before all hell broke loose behind you.
Yeah, I knew we had to get a good run coming off the line, going down on the one. Pretty much all just fell apart because we knew Cam was going to get a run, so we were going to try to pinch him up on the outside, and I was going to dive low, but it didn't really work out, so I came home P2.
Thinking about the team effort, tell me how much communication is going on through the race. These cars are not quite as predictable and easy to drive as the newer Cup cars, so how much of this is pre-planned and how much of this is just sort of, I'll work with you if I'm near you?
Oh, when it comes to restrictor plates, we literally set up plans, like plan A, plan B. Like, we're constantly talking strat to see what we need to do, because if you get the right plan, you can pretty much control the field, manipulate it the way you want, but it just has to work. And it somewhat worked as a good practice for the race next week, so we'll see if we can execute better. All right,
Jeffrey, excuse me. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
You too. Thank you for the good broadcast.
Race winner Cameron Rich got it done with a wild move down the back straightaway, top to bottom. Sort of assisted with the quarter panel there, Cameron. Take me through that epic last lap battle and almost ending wrong side up in the inside wall to coming back and taking home the checkered. Take me through that last lap and that move to the inside.
At the restart, I was talking to William, and we kind of knew we weren't going to beat the one-sim guys, just kind of sitting there. So I figured let's try to go on the outside because that's been the best line all night. So kind of just got that run down the backstretch, and I wasn't really clear of. I think it was James. And I kind of just I didn't really care. If I wrecked myself, I wrecked myself, but I'd rather at least try. So I kind of turned off. I thought it might be a little bit clear, but I maybe wasn't super clear, and maybe the bumper would kind of hook me, and kind of did. But I love these cars because you can actually kind of do that and not just immediately lose it. Not really a lot of aerodynamics to hinder you there. So that was pretty fun race all around. Sucks about the cautions. I think next week is going to be a little bit better. We're going to have long runs and get the field spread out a little bit. Bit of a test run tonight, but I'm so excited about this race. I know this last season of 3 wide, at least tentatively. And just got to thank Corey for putting it on. I've been in 3 wide since 2017. Been a really good time, enjoying it all throughout, and it's a really good way to start off this season. Or not really start off, but kind of. Last night didn't go too well for me, but tonight definitely a good way to get some momentum into next week.
All right, Cameron, thanks so much for talking to us. Congratulations, and we'll see you again at Daytona in 1 week.
Thanks, guys. And quick shout out to my beautiful fiance. She watched, was screaming and hollering when that move happened. I thought something happened, and she just said it was my move. It was pretty cool. So got a new fan of Sim TV there. So thanks, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Cameron. We'll see you next week. All right, Connor, how about that? These cars are crazy. I like these things, but we're not done yet. We've got a whole season of this stuff coming up, and it all starts in 1 week.
It's gonna get crazy and crazier the closer they get to that series, the series finale for the season. I mean, the anticipation level is already going way up with these two amazing races we've had. One relatively clean one, and a one that was a bit of a wreck fest and a crapshoot at the end there. But 2 green-white checkers to start the season. But the big boy points are next week, and it's gonna be even crazier.
We're going to do it again at Daytona for the points next week. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for more action, you don't have to wait very long. You can head right back over to Sim TV. The ERSCA PrecineAuction.com series finishing up with Finian DeCuna and Eric Mickey at Richmond Raceway. That's finishing up right now live. We'll see you again on, tomorrow night for Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series action. That will be at Iowa Speedway. Then Thursday, Scars Porsche Cup. That will be from Spa-Francorchamps. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week, but we'll also see you over on the ERSCA stream in just a moment. Thanks for watching.